Cat TV is celebrating 30 years of community media. Help support Cat TV's next 30 years by becoming a member today. Your membership will help us continue covering meaningful, local content. Thank you for supporting your local community media station.
Bennington Select Board meeting of September 26th, our last meeting in September. And I have with me what's a quorum of the Select Board. I'm Jeannie Jenkins, and I have the pleasure of chairing this board, and I'll ask Tom to start off introducing himself.
I'm Tom Haley. Thanks everyone for coming out tonight.
Good evening, I'm Jim Carroll.
Hi there, Bruce Lee Clark.
Lovely. And also with us, we have our esteemed town manager, Stu Hurd. We have our wonderful minute taker, Nancy Lively. And we have wonderful Josh Boucher on the camera for Cat TV, which we appreciate very, very much. All right, so we will begin tonight, as we always do, with the Pledge of Allegiance. Jim, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jim. And next up, our vision statement. Bruce, would you read it, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Bennington is a welcoming, engaged, inclusive, resilient community where everyone, regardless of identity, shares in our vitality and benefits from an outstanding quality of life.
Thank you. All right, so next up is the consent agenda. We have the minutes of September 12th and the warrants. Any questions that have not already been addressed on either? No? Then could I have a motion?
I'd so move to adopt.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. It's easy to see. All right, good. All right, so then up next is Shannon Barsati to talk with us about, to open a public hearing.
No, public comment.
Oh, man. Okay, sorry. Oh, I even have it. Gosh. Okay, sorry, guys. It felt really fast.
It's public. It's either public comment or public hearing. I'm not sure.
What the heck? Okay.
Well, we won't let you miss it.
Wow. Okay, so first up, let's see. We have Jim Henry up to talk about the 51st anniversary of SEAL.
Yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Jim Henry. I'm the Executive Director of CL Link, or more commonly known as 204 Depot. Let's see, I grew up in Bennington, but I live in Hoosick Falls. Sorry. In 19... How's that? Good? Okay. In 1970, the Bennington chapter of the Junior Chamber of Commerce decided to make a community residence for juvenile offenders its project for the year. In April of 1971, a grant was awarded to Phoenix Incorporated from the Law Enforcement Assistance Administration. It was the first award of its kind in Vermont, and Bennington became the first community in Vermont to move towards community-based corrections. At the time of the grant award, sponsorship was obtained from the town of Bennington, and a board of directors was formed. Many members of the JC chapter became members of the Phoenix board. In April of 1971, the house at 204 Depot Street was purchased through a second corporation and a liberal mortgage obtained. Board members and members of the JCs completely gutted the building and began a remodel. At the same time, the search for an executive director was begun. In August of 1971, Phoenix Incorporated's first executive director was hired. Can anybody guess who that was? Dick Sears. Yes. So we are celebrating our 50th anniversary during our 51st year. It is on October 22nd. It'd be great to have some people. We're going to have it at the Elks. Looking forward to many more years as well. And I do want to take this opportunity to thank the town. Dan has helped us over the years with some of our purchases. Paul, formerly Larry, has also helped. Also thanks to the police department Chief Doucette and his crew who has helped us out when we've had some bad days, rescue squad as well. But thank you. Any
Jim,
questions?
I want to let you know, in my years in college, I worked for 2 years on the night shift.
Okay. That's a special breed. The overnight crew, no doubt.
And the way that I would keep myself awake at night, because, my drift off, is I'd put the TV or a chair in front of the TV and tip it. So if I fell asleep, I was going to wake up quick.
Yeah. All right.
Jim Henry, could you just repeat what time?
6 o'clock
6 o'clock?
at the Elks.
And is it dinner? Is it?
Yes, there'll be food, cash bar, speakers. So we have some former residents, some of the first 1 or 2 residents that were in the building. We started with 5. They'll be there.
That's lovely. Good. Lynn?
I wanted to add a thank you to you folks, because the library has utilized your support
Yes.
on many occasions, so
Yes.
we've been moved lots of folks.
Yes.
Or wherever, the staff are wonderful, and the guys that are overseeing,
Yep.
really nice.
Great.
So thank you.
Yep, appreciate that.
Great. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Thank you. Oh, we get invitations. Oh, excellent. Thank you. Great. All right. And then next up, we have Nancy White on Ben High.
Nancy White, Bennington. I'm very concerned about the lack of information and details the public have been given about the proposed Ben High project. We should have had a detailed meeting a couple of months ago. The public deserves the right to ask a lot of questions and get information. Doesn't Vermont law require that you have voter approval in order to finance the purchase, the lease to purchase agreement?
So Nancy, again, this is not a time for discussion, and I'm sorry, because I forgot public comment, I did not make my usual comments beforehand. 3 minutes max. Please make sure that what you share this is a time to share things that are useful to the public at large, and this is not a time for back and forth. This is really a time for you to
Well,
share
Jeannie,
your comments.
it used to be a time for back and forth. And for 2 years, you've told the people of Bennington it was going to be cheaper to put the senior center and lease a spot in the Ben High. There is no way it's going to be cheaper if this town has to buy that building. We have no use for it. We need the gym at the rec center. We've wanted for 30 years. In my opinion, this looks like a Ponzi scheme. You're swapping buildings. We're supposed to pay $1 million. I don't even think you have the answers by now.
Nancy, I very much appreciate you sharing your opinion. As you've heard, every single time you've gotten up to make these statements, there will be a public hearing. You know as much as we do at this point. When we originally had the very, very long discussions, multi-meeting discussions about how to use the ARPA funds, we voted to put ARPA funds toward Ben High without an exact amount because we don't have the details. We also have been told over and over again by staff that until they have all the details, the select board can't decide whether we want to go forward with this or not. So they're going to make a recommendation based on what they find out. So when we have that special meeting in October,
But that's
which
not
I hope
what-
we can schedule very, we
That's
can get on the
that's not
calendar
what
soon.
this agreement says.
Nancy,
Well,
honestly,
Jeannie,
you're
you
welcome
have to be
make your
honest with
comment.
the people. You know, it says the town is planning to do all this. The money you're spending in ARPA money right now, we can't get back. And if the voters, we do get a chance to vote on this, because it says in here we can petition. We shouldn't have to. But if the voters defeat it, as we should, you've wasted that ARPA money that we can't get back. And that money should be going to the rec center, and you should have town staff getting grants for the gym.
Dan, I'm wondering if you could, I just want to make sure that that we give the correct amount of money that has been used in any sort of exploration for Ben High to date.
I have those figures today. You guys authorized us to expend funds on a feasibility.
I'm thinking it's like 15,000. That's what I'm thinking.
I think I made that motion, and I believe it's for 10.
10, okay. So
Up
You
to
did, you did
10,000.
cap it then. See, I didn't know that you had
yeah,
capped
we
it.
did. It was a we
Is
made a
that's not the right
formal.
amount?
So what we did was make a motion to pay for some exploration.
That's what I
And
know.
that is all we've done thus far. We will not go forward with anything until we have a full airing and discussion in public. And we're not going to have that discussion. We can't go the next step until we have the complete information. And I know that Dan and Shannon have spent hours and hours and hours working on making sure that they can provide the information to the public and to the select board that we need to decide whether we want to go forward or not. So I appreciate you coming to public comment. I appreciate you stating your opinion, but it isn't a time for back and forth. There will be a public discussion. Nothing's going forward until we have that public discussion. So please rest assured that there's no, we would all like to be moving forward as quickly as we can, but we cannot move forward until we have all the pieces in place.
So construction will not be starting in December, as it says in here.
Unlikely.
And are we going to be able to go in and tour the building? I asked that back in June.
Well, the answer is not think it's a safe idea
To help to hold the meeting there?
Okay.
Oh, rats. Okay. So safety comes first.
And last, it
And there
does,
was actually public tour. I'm trying.
last
when
year,
was this time in COVID?
and the
Yep.
public only was allowed to go through part of the building, and I asked about that afterwards.
And that was for safety reasons.
Mm-hmm.
It was for safety reasons. Those parts of the parts of the building that were toured were the parts that the recreation center, that the YMCA was using to expand programming that had been at the rec center. So the only places that we were allowed to go in were places that had been refurbished already. It's an old building, and you're not going to go crawling around in spaces that haven't been.
Will
cleaned.
Mr. Gilbert be at the public meeting?
I have no idea.
Well, he should be.
Well, Nancy, again, we're veering
Okay.
away. We're veering
Okay.
away from you making a public
And I
comment.
want the public to be aware that your RFP shows there's only going to be about 50 parking spaces on site. Now, Dan says they're hoping for 65. You do not begin to have the parking for what you've talked about doing. Not with 40 apartments, not with all the people you want working in there. It's unfair that this has gone this far without this information being public. Thanks.
Thank you, Nancy. Okay, let's see. And now we have mini golf at the library.
Hello, I'm Wendy Sharkey. I'm here representing the Bennington Free Library, and I would like to talk to you about mini golf. This is one of our major fundraisers at the library, and yes, we play golf in the library. We have the courses set up all around. Literally, they go into the stacks, they go into the quiet room, they go upstairs into the meeting rooms, all around. You have golf to play everywhere. We have sponsors for the holes, and each hole can be decorated by the sponsor. And we have a little competition where we have the best dressed hole, the winner of which gets a free hole for the next time we run mini golf. There are two sections to mini golf. One is on Friday night, the Friday Fairway Frolic, which is a ticketed event with $25 to get in. You can play golf, there's food. There's a silent auction, so come and bring your checkbooks. There's a cash bar as well. Then on the Saturday, we have a community event, which we call Library Links. It's $2 a person, but we cap it at $10 for a family to make it more affordable. But if you don't have a library card and aren't a member of the library, you can come, sign up for a library card, and get a free round of golf. So Saturday we also have a raffle that's ongoing as well, so there's chances to win prizes and things like that. There are stuffed animals to decorate holes there. Just imagine anything and we have it. Obviously on Saturday the library's open, so when people are playing around at golf you maybe have to avoid a few legs and feet for people picking books off the shelf. It's a fun day and we'd like you all to come. Questions?
The dates.
Sorry.
Yeah, the date.
The dates. The dates it's this Friday and this Saturday, which is September the 30th, which is the time for that is from 6 till 10. And on Saturday, it's October the 1st, and that will be during open hours, which is from 10 till 4.
Thanks.
Super. And can people buy tickets at the door?
They can buy tickets at the door on Friday night, but if they want to sign up ahead and pay in advance, they may do that as well.
Super. Other questions? Any audience questions?
Come and have some fun.
Wonderful. Yeah. Are there enough to leave some at the back?
I'll leave the extras at the back, yes.
Thank you.
All right, so never say there aren't plenty of things to do in Bennington that are fun, fun, fun. So great, and because this is a major fundraiser, it's important that we come out and support you and eat well, because I understand the food is coming from good places as well. Yeah.
We have a taco bar, we have hors d'oeuvres, we have free food Friday night. On Saturday, we have snacks for the kids, lemon juice boxes and pizza and fruit and
Good.
snacks.
Okay, so lots of food. Yay. Okay, so now it's time for the public hearing with Shannon. I'm so sorry, Shannon.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Shannon Barsati, the Community Development Director for the town. And we're here tonight for a public hearing for the rental rehab program that was run by NeighborWorks of Western Vermont. And we have Heather, Melanie, and Aaron here from NeighborWorks. And the purpose of the public hearing is that the town of Bennington received $355,000 from the state under the Vermont Community Development Program, which are actually federal funds through Housing and Urban Development. And these were subgranted to NeighborWorks for their rental rehab program. And the purpose of that program was to rehabilitate 13 vacant, blighted, and deteriorated rental units in Bennington into affordable, safe, and code-compliant rental units for low-income families. So the public hearing is a chance to hear about how the funds were used and how the project went, and then also for the public to answer any questions. Go on up, Melanie.
Hi, I'm Melanie Paskovich, Director of Operations from NeighborWorks of Western Vermont. Also here's Aaron Jones. He's very integral to this program and making things happen, and Heather Starzinski, who's our Executive Director. Do you have the slides? Okay. I know. That's the way it always goes. So as Shannon said, we're here to close out the grant. We received the grant in 2015. Oh, there we go. Great. And just want to also start by saying thank you to the town of Bennington. This couldn't have been possible without this great partnership because the money, the partnership and came through the town of Bennington to NeighborWorks of Western Vermont. And as Shannon said, the purpose was to encourage landlords to fix up vacant, blighted units to bring back online, right? We have this housing crisis. We've had a housing crisis for a long time. It's worse now. But how can we encourage landlords and property owners to fix up those units that maybe they've had in their portfolio forever, and how can we get them to make the changes to bring them back online? And we were restricted to just the town of Bennington. And we, NeighborWorks of Western Vermont, were providing grants to the landlords, loans to the landlords, and project coordination just to help to make sure the projects got from start to end. And then when a landlord was granted these grant funds for 5 years, they agreed to rent at 100% fair market rent, so affordable rents. And 51% of the tenants had to be 80% AMI and lower, so low income tenants, at least 51%. I think most of them all in the end did almost 100% all low income tenants, which is great. So, you know, it really was there wasn't a program like this to start with. So how can we figure this out? How can we crack this nut? Because it's a hard nut to crack. And it was a lot of different things. It was networking. It was we actually presented to the Realtor Association. We'd go to the lumber yards. We'd try to, you know, go into the civic groups. However we can get the word out that this is happening, and through the town too, to get the word out. And then to help them to understand that this is to help you at the end. It's to bring, a lot of these landlords had these units on their books forever, and it was a way to get them to move forward and get these units up to code and get them fixed up. A lot of these projects were gut rehab, so in to out, out to in, so basically the studs. Some were not, but most of them were, so these are big projects. Which is a lot to take on, right? These landlords, they have multiple businesses, they have a lot going on, it's hard to get their attention, but it took a lot of coordination, a lot of hand-holding, I think, to help them through the process. So as Shannon said, in total we got $355,000. This started in 2015, we're ending it this month, so 2022. And we provided grants. We started at $7,000 per unit, and then we said, that's not enough. And so then we went to $8,000 per unit. And then at the end, in 2020, there was a large, CARES Act funded rental program that offered $30,000 per grants to fix them up. So we talked to the state, and they said, yeah, you guys should bump them up. So we did $20,000 for the last few units, just to be, you know, on par with what the market was doing. So in the end, we did 13 completed rental units. That's 5 projects, and the addresses are here. So 9 Browning Place was 2 units. 324 Gage Street was 1 unit. 119 Grandview Street was 3 units. 272, 274 Union Street was 4 units. And 343 Safford Street was 3 units. I'm going to go to the next slide. So these pictures are before and after. All the 5 projects are here. I could have done volumes of pictures, but we thought we'd show you the highlights. So that's 9 Browning Place on the left. You could see before, obviously you can tell, is on the left, and right is on the other side. And then this is 324 Gage Street on the right here. That's before at the top, and then these are 2 after at the bottom. So really, you know, these are derelict units. They've been vacant, as you can see, siding, windows. We did everything, flooring, appliances, bathrooms, kitchens, you name it. Heating systems were a big one. Roofing was a big one. Do you want to go to the next slide? And then on the left is 119 Grandview Street. That was a mess. And then Union Street. That was a big project, and you can see that was gutted right to the studs. That was a gut rehab project. But nice, beautiful adds to the community, and again, they're all in the town of Bennington. Do you want to go to the next slide? And then this one is 343 Stafford Street. Before is on the left, and right's on the other side. So the other thing I want to make sure to get across here, because this was a pilot program, you know, we had lessons learned and things to figure out and what worked and what didn't work. And what's so cool and so great is that out of that, we now have statewide rental repair programs. So thanks to this partnership with the town, the state now has modeled the Rehousing Recovery Program, which is what was launched with CARES money in 2020. And now we have VHIP, which is Vermont, I always forget the acronym, Vermont Housing Improvement Program, which is up to 50,000 in units to fix up rental units, which we are currently running in Addison, Rutland, and Bennington County. So we still have a rental program, so please keep getting the word out. But it's statewide now, so I think it's such a cool thing that this Bennington pilot has grown into being a statewide rental repair program, which is so important. If you go to the last slide. So while I'm here, I just thought I'd just circle back on who NeighborWorks of Western Vermont is. We're a nonprofit organization. Our core service area is Addison, Rutland, and Bennington. Been in business since 1996. We have 5 lines of business, our home ownership center, which is home buyer education, super important. Pre and post-purchase counseling, shared equity. We have a lending arm. We do home repair, rental repair loans, DPA, and energy loans. Did I forget anything? And then we have our Heat Squad, which is our energy efficiency program, which is all incomes. We're actually in 8 counties, the Northeast Kingdom, Madison, Rutland, Bennington, Windham, and Windsor. We do energy audits, project coordination. We help to get rebates. And then we have our home repair to help fix up to 80% AMI or 122 we can go up to, but single-family homes or 1 to 4 units to help with much-needed health and safety repairs. And then we have our rental repair, which I was talking about, our VHIP program, up to $50,000 in grants. So yeah, it's all about sustainable, affordable home ownership. Get people in the home, make sure they can stay in their home, fix up their home, and save money and be energy efficient. So that's what I have. If anybody has any questions?
Sure. Let me start with the board. Any questions up here? I'm just wondering, so, I mean, you're saying get the word out. Can you elaborate on what we should be saying? Because this is a really great opportunity for Bennington.
Yeah, get the word out about the current program or kind of what's...
About the current, about future, future opportunity.
Yeah, so this current one, VHIP, like I said, it's on our website, nwbd.org. But yeah, it's up to $50,000 per unit. We can do new unit creation in existing structure. So somebody, you know, has a 2-unit, wants to make a 3-unit. That's new. That's a new unit construction, right? That's up to $50,000 a unit. We can repair vacant. The units have to be vacant for a period of 90 days or more. Or we can do accessory dwelling units, and that's up to $50,000. And that's if you got a garage. It's owner occupied only, has to be with an existing structure. So you got a garage, you want to create a unit over your garage, that's called an accessory dwelling unit. So that's $50,000 a unit. And in that model, you can actually rent to whomever you want. You have to rent for 5 years at HUD fair market rent. But the other one, so new unit creation or you're rehabbing a rental unit, which is either up to $50,000 or up to $30,000 depending on the size of bedrooms. You do have to rehouse the homeless or veterans that are homeless or refugee resettlement for 5 years and HUD fair market rent. So Addison, Rutland, Bennington, but that's really, did I miss anything, Aaron? That's about it. It's a great program. We've got a lot of money, so lots of units we can do.
Super.
Yeah, can you be a little clearer about, you know, how do you define a blighted apartment?
Yeah. It's really that it's been vacant for a period of time. So for the current program, it has to be vacant for 90 days. Before, you know, in the Bennington rental pilot, we didn't have we just said it's vacant, nobody's lived in it. I don't remember if we had a period of time, maybe it was 30 days we had, but really it's just a derelict, vacant, it's been neglected, right? No upkeep, nobody's lived there. I don't think we never did. Yeah, it's a really great deal.
No. Okay. Sam. Please come up.
Sam Rustino of Bennington, Vermont. 2 questions come to mind. We have an energy committee. Have you come forth and discussed this in the past time? Well, I don't know when the energy committee was formed, but have you gone from time to time to have a discussion with this committee since we have an energy committee? And secondly, do you work with foreclosures? I can think of one building that's on Beach Street that's just sitting there vacant. Do you actually make a proposal to the one that's foreclosed? That's just sitting there, rotting away.
Could if we knew who the owner was, go to the place. I can give you one right now. Do you have one? Yeah. So for the energy committee, would love to talk to the energy committee. I've talked a lot in Manchester and Dorset. I guess I haven't here, but
yeah, you actually did.
Did
in
I?
year 1, 2 years ago. Yeah, it was a long time ago. You did
It's
come
been a
in
while.
year 1.
Yeah.
We're in year 3 now.
Yeah, would love to again at any time. Would love to talk about energy efficiency in our Heat Squad program. And foreclosures, yeah, I mean, that's fine too. I just, you know, we have it out there. We haven't gone to the landlords, but we could if we knew who they were. But this is open for any size landlord, nonprofit, private. Landlord type doesn't matter. It's just who is the landlord, really.
Any other questions? Oh, yes.
Hi, were you able to work with 5 different property owners?
4.
Okay. And when the work is done, does the value of the property increase on the grand list?
I believe so, and I would think so, yes.
Okay. And is this on the town website? Okay, because that would be helpful for people to know. And last, it would also be nice to see on the town website, we keep hearing about the fair market value. Would that be something you could put on the website so people could see for a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom? A lot of us say, well, what is the fair market value?
If you go to HUD, fair market rent, it's right on there.
For the town of Bennington?
Yeah, so you put in the state and then the town, and then it kind of brings you down and shows you what it is. Yes, HUD, if you just put in HUD FMR.
Yep. Okay, all right, thank you.
Melanie, would you mind just repeating that in the microphone because Cat TV doesn't.
So if you go to HUD Fair Market Rent or HUD FMR, if you just Google that, it'll bring you right in, and then you put in Vermont, and then you put in Bennington, and I think you might have to put Town of Bennington, but then it shows you right, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, and I think there's other information if you don't include utilities. If you do, it breaks it all down, but easy website.
Great questions. Any other questions? So, for the public hearing, so what else needs to happen to close this out?
That's about it.
Is that it?
Just that we have it.
We need to say thank you very much. This is
Well,
wonderful
thank
work.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, and keep it coming.
It is fantastic work. We're so happy about this. All right, and then next up, all right, so Dan is here to talk to us about the Vermont Community Fund Equitable and Inclusion Communities Grant application.
Okay, just a little background before I talk about the grant. As you know, one of the duties of the Planning Commission is to develop and update the town plan I think it's every 7 years now. Used to be every 5. And we're coming up on a new update. The Planning Commission is talking about this as a new town plan, not just an update. It'll be a comprehensive update. And it's got to be done in 2025. So we have a little time, but these things usually take a couple years so we want to get started. So the Planning Commission has, like I said, decided to begin the process of creating a new town plan, and it's going to come in at least 2 major steps. The first one is a public outreach to gather input from the public, from stakeholders, to develop goals and a common vision for land use in Bennington. That process we anticipate being very robust compared to previous planned updates. In fact, we are hoping to one of the things we're hoping to fund with this grant is consulting services to develop a outreach plan that is very inclusive of all members of the community. We know that the typical public meetings don't accomplish that, so we're going to try really hard to get out into the public, interview stakeholders, do what we can to get lots and lots of perspectives to try to build a consensus and understand folks' goals and desires for the future of the community. So that's step 1, and then obviously step 2 is taking all that information and all that goal setting and creating common principles that we can then implement, that we can then put into a town plan update. Like I said, new town plan is what we're calling it. So that brings us to the grant. In order to help us start that process, we're seeking funding for 2 specific efforts. One is to start off with some diversity, equity, and inclusion training for the Planning Commission so they can start to get a feel for the vocabulary, understand the principles, so that as they're going through the process of gathering public input and developing the town plan, they'll have some good foundation for that to make sure that they're inclusive and they look at these DEI issues that, although we've always thought about them kind of obliquely, we've never really taken them head on in a town plan update. So that's number one, is some diversity training, DEI training. And then also, as I mentioned, some funding for a consultant to help us develop that outreach plan to make sure that it is inclusive and it is effective, or at least is designed to be effective in gathering input from lots of different sectors of the community. Before you this evening is a request to support a grant application to the Vermont Community Fund. They have an Equitable and Inclusive Communities Grant Program, and the grant amount sought is $6,750, which, as I mentioned, will be used to hire a consultant or consultants to help us out with these efforts. I think that's about it. I'm happy to answer any questions, but really we're just hoping that you'll support us in this effort, and just if you felt it appropriate after hearing from anybody else who has any questions or concerns, that you folks would make a motion to support our grant application to the Vermont Community Fund. This is, like I said, this is a first step. We're going to be a lot more, we're going to be coming to the select board a lot more often to kind of inform you on how we plan to proceed with the town plan, and we're also going to be looking for more grant funds through the municipal planning grant program, and just a heads up, we'll also be looking for some funds in the next year's budget to help with the funding, which will include at least two grant funds, this VCF and a municipal planning grant, and maybe more grants, but also we're pretty sure we'll need at least match funding from the select board budget coming up, the town budget coming up. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. As you might guess, this was prompted by the town's vision statement, and the Planning Commission took that to heart and felt it was very important to make sure that vision statement is implemented through all the efforts of the Planning Commission, most importantly the town plan, which is, as you know, a policy document that reflects a lot of the aspirations of the town. So we felt it was very appropriate to make sure that vision statement is front and center. So
I just want to say I'm really grateful to the Planning Commission and to the town, and I think probably we all want to speak to that it is just, I mean, it is so wonderful for the Planning Commission and the town to come to the select board and say, we want to do this, it's in line with the vision statement, and it furthers what we want to be as a town. So I truly appreciate it.
They're very, very anxious to begin this effort. They're very, very happy to begin it. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the Bennington County Regional Commission for identifying this grant opportunity, in particular Catherine Briers, and those folks, the staff at BCRC actually developed the first draft of the application, which you see. We still have some wordsmithing to do, some fine tuning, but thanks to them for putting that together for us and finding this funding source.
That's great. Comments?
I'm just, Dan, I'm very supportive of this. I'm a little concerned about what might happen if we don't get this grant. I would really want us to do this kind of training and find a way to do that no matter what.
So if we don't get this grant, which we're really hopeful,
I know.
we will be seeking other grant funds and/or seeking funds in the next year's budget. So we would hope to do this by the end of the year, but if not, if we have to wait till next, this coming July, by using town funds, then we will certainly do that if you folks support that in the next year's budget. But again, we're really hopeful that we get these funds and we can proceed sooner rather than later.
Me too.
Great. Anything? Public? Yes, Nancy, please.
I attended the meeting last week. They're informative, and I think it's critically important that these meetings be televised. They happen at 3:30, and there's not a lot of room in the town office, and they probably never have many citizens show up. But, I'm sure we've got money in the budget, or you should use ARPA money this year to start getting those meetings on CAT TV. That's the best way to reach the public. Thanks.
Any other Questions or comments?
Do you need a motion, Dan?
Yes, motion would be great, because then
Yes.
motion would be excellent, and I can reference that.
I would move to support this request for the grant from the Vermont Community Fund, Equitable and Inclusive Communities.
Thank you.
All right, any more discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. All right, so let's see. Next up is implementing the town vision, and I think we just saw a wonderful example of it. Thank you very much. And let's see, we've got the ADA draft plan on the next meeting's agenda, so I think everything, and we're also still in process on Ideal Vermont, which also has a funding stream that is sort of maybe a backup funding stream for this. So we are really quick. I think there are a lot of things in motion, and that's, I think, to our benefit. So the next up is manager's report.
Yes. Many of you probably read a little bit of the story about the delays in the Willow Park Playground. We are moving forward. The design folks came out to Vermont to view the situation. We think we have it well in hand. It has delayed the opening of the park itself, and we will get this project completed as soon as possible. And at that time, we'll probably have some sort of a grand opening ribbon cutting ceremony. So we have a slight delay, but we're on top of it, and I want to thank our staff for being so concerned about some of the construction techniques that were utilized by the contractor. Second thing, I make note here that COVID tests that we had available at the municipal offices, at the senior center, at the rec center, are now all gone. The health department provided up to 2,200 units. They have pretty much disappeared. We're going to be reaching out to folks in public works and police departments to see if they have any of the excess left over, and we'll try to bring those to either the senior center or the town offices, whichever is most appropriate. But yes, we've used up a majority of those tests. So the health department's effort was very successful. Here.
And the date, used by date, has been extended, right?
Yes, the show and expiration date of October 31st has been extended to January 31st, and I think it's been extended once more by the manufacturer. I think sometime into March. So these tests have a fairly long life, and I'm told they're being very similar tests being used throughout the United States. I've heard from some of our employees that have been traveling and have run into the same situation with the expiration dates. Just briefly, the County Street, Benmont Avenue sewer project is scheduled to start the first week in October, which is next week. They should be mobilizing. You'll start to see some equipment on site. They will focus on Benmont Avenue portion of the sewer line, so we'll probably be limited to one lane of traffic, perhaps depending on the location of the sewer as it goes down along Benmont Avenue. And then we'll come back in the spring and work on the County Street portion of that same sewer. This is the sewer that is literally collapsing. It's only been in the ground for some 50 years or so. A little younger than I am, but we all collapsed at some point. The Maple Street project is completed. I don't know if any of you have been out into that area. The paving has been done. Took a ride down through it today. It looks really nice. Hope you enjoy it, Nancy. And sidewalks both sides. It looks really nice. And the last thing is, and Jonah can keep us updated on this, the town's website is practically finished with the updating. I think we have some planned training in early October. Yeah, early October. Yeah. We're going to train some of our key staff that will actually be utilizing the website to upload information and projects to that site. And that's all I have.
Great. lot of things happening. All right, so upcoming agendas. So what I know for the first meeting in October is the Bennington Police Department is coming to give us an in-person update. We'll have the ADA draft plan, and Lake Perrin is planning to come and give a presentation. Anything else? Okay, all right. All right, so that's what we know so far. All right, so other business? Tom, anything?
Not this week.
Jim?
Yeah, I'd just like to note the sad passing of Joan Douglas, who worked at Bennington Free Library for 44 years. She was certainly a part of my childhood. And she was just a wonderful, wonderful woman. That's it.
Thank you, Jim.
Nothing.
Okay. I just want to quickly say I had the opportunity to go to one of the Critical Conversations series at the Bennington Museum last Friday. Some of you were there. I see you shaking your head. And it was excellent. The focus was to use the Lincoln sculpture in front of the museum as a way to explore how we deal with public sculpture and monument. And the panel that they invited was just super. It was an artist, a historian, and an art historian that focused on Civil War monuments. So it was really very interesting. They have 2 more coming up, and I just wanted to mention them because they seem like things we might care about. They're all on Fridays. The next one is October 14th, and it's the future of tourism. And they're looking at tourism from climate change perspective and also just changing, attitudes and health risks and just looking at it in a large lens. And then on October 28th, they're doing one on the opioid epidemic. And our very own Margay Diamond from Turning Point is part of the panel for that. So just wanted to say these are free, and it was just, they're really well done. So that's it. So if there's nothing else, then we have need of an executive session, and we are not planning to make any decisions coming out of that, although I don't see it. And so I guess we'd like a motion.
Motion that we adjourn to an executive session for the purposes of legal discussion on legal matters.
Excellent.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you all for coming. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Cat TV is celebrating 30 years of community media. Help support Cat TV's next 30 years by becoming a member today. Your membership will help us continue covering meaningful, local content. Thank you for supporting your local community media station.